Morning. Gonna start on some warm-ups here. Got a Bridgman book open, so I'm gonna do some studies. Hey, Thomas, how's it going? Yeah, these are Bridgman studies. So yeah, they're strong because it's Bridgman. But yeah, Bridgman is, I don't know, he's really good. Was, I should say, probably. Oh yeah, yeah, I've been meaning to do that. He's so good. I mean, between Loomis and Bridgman, I feel like they just cover everything, right? Like Loomis feels to me like he's really good to grasp as like a beginner, and then Bridgman is just he's so loose yet so accurate with his anatomy. It's insane. Yeah, his style is like something else, right? It's impressive, but he's like I don't know, he's so loose with it as well, which I think is really that is what baffles me. Like he just makes it look so easy, but it's also accurate. Like it's all there. Like all the muscles are there, all the the bones are there. Yeah, totally. I mean, Loomis is just I don't know. He's beginner friendly. I feel like. Yeah, I mean, he's still good if you're experienced, but there's something about the way Loomis explains things that just makes it easy to understand. Whereas Bridgman, you kind of need to. I feel like you need like some understanding of anatomy before you can understand Bridgman. Glenn Philpott, no, I don't think I even know him. Is he like an anatomy guide as well? I don't think I know him. No, gotta check that out. I'm looking to get the that Disney course in drawing. Can't remember what it's called. Like the lectures, like really famous stuff. It's less about anatomy though. Like it's more, I don't know. No, it's not the illusional life, but it's. Let me see if we can find it again. I asked this for Christmas. Um, Drawn to Life is what it's called. The Walt Stanchfield lectures. I'll drop a link. This one. Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, I've heard really good things about it. Yeah, it looked like it. I like had some leaf through it. Is it good? Morning, Quartz Creations. Good question. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. There are, yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, when I was in school, we had like I'm gonna try and say this polite, but we had a really robust model for character for figure drawing, which I mean it was kind of interesting, but it's surprisingly difficult because it's really difficult to understand the underlying anatomy. Yeah, I think we all kind of do. Or we start that way at least, yeah. It's the easiest to understand the forms. How are you guys doing, by the way? Had a good weekend? Hey, Rascolito. Yeah, it was great. My weekend was awesome. We I joined Movember this year, and we went for like a 60-kilometer hike. So I'm kind of still sore. I'm not used to walking anymore. If anyone wants to join some of the exercises, by the way, these are Bridgman studies. So you can find a lot of these online. Here's here's some stuff. An AI version of an image you did. Oh man, AI is like, I don't know. It's a weird time to be alive. Like I feel like technology wise, I feel like it's really exciting. But at the same time, like people are really worried, right? I mean, it's a good thing that it's all happening online because I feel like if we would be living, in a society with other artists, it would just be people would just be on the street with pitchforks. Are you guys worried at all? Yeah, makes you anxious now. Honestly, though, like my stance on it, like I'm not too worried at all, to be honest. I feel like maybe it's a bit naive of me, but I always compare it to DJs. Like a whole load of DJs don't create their own bass material. They just sample, other artists, other music, yet not every DJ is a good DJ. I think it's pretty much the same. You could use AI as a tool, but it's not going to replace, I think, artistic eye. It's not going to replace, you know, the industry is still going to need good designers. Oh yeah, I totally understand that. It is like a very, it's a very scary topic. I feel like it has implications on more than just our industry. I don't know. There are some who say that actually it's going to weed out artists that aren't, you know, no worries, no worries, Scorch Creations. Like, it's not intention for you to leave. Let's switch topics. Let's just be happy and not worry. Yeah. I'm just going through some pages. I used to do these all the time, like just copying stuff from Bridgman. It's kind of like deciphering a mystery a little bit because he's like so, I don't know, he's on such another level. I feel like I've done a lot of studies of his work and still only skimmed the surface of, you know, what he does. Oh yeah, yeah, I get that. I think everyone kind of creates his own sort of way to do things, but to me, what really clicked was Loomis. Although that being said, though, like I've been comparing it lately to the Riley method, and there's stuff in that sits a little bit better with me, like in the way I just regularly draw. The only thing is now I've kind of trained myself to follow the Loomis method, so I kind of have to reverse engineer myself a little bit and find like a happy middle ground. Yeah, Riley is, I don't know. I think he follows the gestural lines a little bit closer than Loomis does, which just it I don't know, it makes a little bit more sense to me. I think I tend to draw a little bit more gesturally anyway. Yeah, always. What book are you working on, by the way? Course Creations. Oh, that's awesome, man. Some weird reference photos you used. That's great. Hey, well done, man. A little bit of both, actually. I'm switching it up. In my spare time, I'm working on Jacksters. But yeah, I'm still art directing as well. Yeah, that's a great way to start, man. Like, I think it's the exact right approach. What are you up to, Thomas? Are you still, what are you working on? Oh, that's pretty cool. Anything online about that? So in Course Creations, what book were you talking about? is the first one. Is that out somewhere?
Let's wait just a sec.
Oh damn, man, that's pretty cool. Gonna have a read through that later. That's awesome. And how long have you been working on that? Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm using Clip Studio as well. Should do a demo of that actually on here. Clip Studio, I think, is awesome. I've never tried Procreate though, but that looks amazing too. But you gotta have an Apple product, right? That's only on iOS, I think. Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I just don't have an iPad. Should get one though. Is it vector based? I read somewhere that it was vector based. Yeah, I might be wrong. But the brush system at least works differently than it does in Photoshop, I think. When you see some of these Procreate brushes, I wouldn't even know how to replicate my Photoshop. Yeah, there's definitely some magic going on behind the screen. In Course Creations, I'm not sure if you're on our Discord. Like these nicknames, they differ from Twitch to Discord, but you're free to join if you want. We're just sharing some art there, doing some studies. I'll drop you a link. There you go. Um, I did. I used to. Yeah. I worked for a while in a studio in Antwerp called Grin, and we worked on this video game called Wolf, based on uh, the Red Hood Diaries, or it was called the Red Hood Diaries. It was based on Little Red Riding Hood. But ever since I started working for Axis, which was around that time, it's pretty much it's game trailers that is what we do work on, but not the game itself. Would love to work on a video game again one day, though. Like I did enjoy it a lot. I even started my own video game type project at some point, but it's just I don't know. It fell by the wayside. Twice actually. I had like two kind of video game projects. Wolf. It was called Wolf. Let me find you a trailer. It was really unfortunate though because the company went under. It was a really cool company to work for, but they were really small. It was the definition of an indie title. I think one of the problems was that the game looked so good that, I mean, for an indie title, that it almost felt like it was competing with AAA titles, and then it wasn't a AAA title. So yeah, the reviews were pretty harsh. Yeah, it was really awesome. It was like a 2D platformer sort of hybrid. It kind of reminded a little bit of American McGee's Alice. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. You gotta do that because otherwise you'll just go over. You gotta have restraint, I think, when you do stuff on an indie budget. But in a good way, it's like I don't know. I sometimes like working on a budget because it's that restraint. I feel like that makes you. It forces you to really consider what you're doing, to really make the right decisions. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's only the Red Dead Redemptions of the world that can afford to do to go all out. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's the same in the VFX industry and I mean in every industry, right? There's always budgetary constraints and reasons for doing things cheaper or smarter. I mean, cheaper sounds so bad, but it's just being smart with where you spend the money. Yeah, yeah, totally. You see it all the time. Like if you look at even like the highest budget Hollywood movies, if you just go through I mean, 90% of the shots is now it's considered a VFX shot now. But if you take an honest look at all the shots that are considered high VFX heavy, VFX heavy, a lot of them, you know, are feel like they had less of a budget than the money shots or less time. Usually, it's a time constraint as well, but I mean, it's kind of the same as a money constraint. You just decide where you want to spend the time and invest, the extra hours. Yeah, smart is, I mean, that's the right way to put it. You want to be just efficient with the way you work. Like I said, it's also a time constraint. Like these movies, they keep coming out, one year after another, right? So you can't push these deadlines. So sometimes it's also a matter of just making sure that you get the important shots done, and then the other shots just have to live with a higher constraint. I think that's fair enough as well. Like if you look at those videos from Visual Corridor, the VFX Artist React crew, it's pretty much what they say all the time, right? When a shot is less successful, it's really funny to see, but almost always they're saying something in the line of they probably had less time, or because usually it's the things that are easiest or not easiest to fix, but a good VFX artist knows what's wrong with a shot when they see it. They just didn't have the time to really address it. Yeah, those three guys sitting on a couch, like just analyzing shots. Yeah, and I mean, I've been on the other end of it, right? So I know what it's like. You just have deadlines. You just need to get your shots done. But it's that thing as well of like you can ask any artist this, but it's like a project is never perfect, right? It's never fully finished. It just ran out of time. That's like it's a very well known quote. After a while, you just even when I'm working on my own comic, right? Like I just you have to work broad and narrow. You can't sit on this thing for like 20 years. So I just started on it, worked every page, started zooming in, started doing inks. Now I'm working on color. But I guess what I'm trying to say is after, like there comes a time when you just have to let it go. And there's always going to be that one panel that you think you could have done better, or where you could have probably spent a little bit more time on. But it's not that it's not worth it, but you can also overwork these things. So sometimes it's just better to let it go and just start on a new project. Just I mean, and that's not saying you should let it go under lesser quality or anything, right? Like it's just I think the nature of being a creative person, being an art director or an artist, is that you just tend to you keep seeing mistakes, right? It's what you train to become better as an artist yourself. Like you just see mistakes in your own drawing and you keep fixing them. So you're kind of like just trained to see mistakes all the time. So it's never that you get a project where you're like, there's no mistakes in this anymore. You just minimize the mistakes and you just make sure that the mistakes that are there aren't, objectively wrong. That it's just, well, this could have been a little bit better. And I feel like, especially when you consider like the movies, I think Tarantino was saying this a while ago, where he was asked what his favorite movie of all time was, or what he would consider like the best movie that was ever made. And he just summed up a couple movies that, in that same sentence, he immediately said these movies aren't perfect because there's flaws in them, but he considered them to be, the best movies, the most perfect movies, regardless of the flaws. Yeah, it's definitely a metaphor of life. I mean, there's definitely schools of thought in that as well, because you do have like the occasional project where I feel like an artist. There's that one, I can't remember what the title was, but there's that one famous graphic novel where the artist just kept working on it. He worked on it for like, it's a really, really long time. I think like 30 years or something. Because he just couldn't let it go under less than, what he would consider perfect. I mean, and what he said about that kind of makes sense as well, right? Because if you take 30 times to create a graphic novel, in that 30 times, you become better as an artist yourself as well. So by the time you reach, you know, 20 years or something, you've already improved as an artist. So in theory, the work that you've done 20 years ago is considered less, of a lesser quality. So if you take that to heart, you can just keep working on something until you die, and it still wouldn't be finished. It might have been him, yeah. Let me Google that name. It's been a while since I read about that, so I can't remember. I don't think it was him though. No. It had like a really high sort of Mobius vibe to it. It was really beautiful though, don't get me wrong, but at the same time I also feel like would it be better for that guy to create 4 or 5 comics in his lifetime, or one that he considers of the highest quality? It's like you can't really be the judge of that yourself. I find like sometimes I definitely consider my best work to be the work that at the time, went the fastest, and that I didn't really spend time nitpicking to death. Yeah, yeah, that's 100% true. That's a really good quote, actually. Thank you. It's kind of weird though, because for myself personally, I when I feel like I'm in that kind of the perfect stride, where I feel like I'm really doing quality work and things are going really smooth and fast, it's very rare for me to get in that state. But once I'm in it, it feels so good. In fact, I give this as an example all the time, but on MRATs, you remember MRATs? Like the first keyframes I did for that was like one of those rare moments where I was feeling like I was feeling it, like I was feeling the project, things were going well. I was doing like a keyframe each day, and it was always like I felt like this is it. Oh, thank you, man. I think that's what I admire about your work, to be honest. Like the fact that you work very loose yet very very precise. Oh, thank you. But I think you see in other artists what you want to see inside yourself, right? Like I feel like I feel for my personal work that I work too that I work too clean and too perfect. Like I try to, and I feel sometimes I'm doing that. Like while I'm doing it, I can't help it. Like just that I'm working things to death. And then when I see the work from other artists, that works so very loose, and it's why I think like Bridgman is just so amazing to me. Like I'm not sure how fast he actually worked, but it looks very loose, but it looks so solid and precise. But I remember Jesper Eising, he said that at some point where it's like every artist, regardless of how old they are, they just keep having these. You keep comparing yourself to other artists. It's just you can't help that. It's what makes you improve as an artist as well. But his point was you can grow old and you could still have that feeling of not being good enough and looking at other artists, and I think it's just part of the job. It's you just have to learn to live with that. Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, and too loose. I mean, I'm gonna hazard talking about AI again, right? It's the name of the game. I think is like it's about ideas, right? I had this conversation with an artist just this week actually, where he was really worried about AI taking over as well. My answer to that is like by the time you get something out of an AI, in a lot of cases, you could have drawn it yourself in that same amount of time, and it would be more accurate and would be more in line, with the idea that you have or the idea that the director has. It's different, I think, when it comes to finished illustration and making beautiful images because it's less important what the actual design is. But I can't really see myself doing concept art with an AI because, for starters, it's slow. It's relatively fast, but it's slow in being precise. And there's always gonna be a modeler that comes back to you and asks like, wait, how does this thing work and how does it fit together? And if you've just pressed a button with AI, you have no idea how it works. Like you haven't constructed it in your head yourself. You haven't done the research either. Like what's the technology behind something, right? I mean, and as a good example, I think the on Love, Death and Robots, the TTG episode, or maybe a better example is Helping Hand for season 1, which was in outer space, right? You can make any AI create a beautiful spacecraft in 2 seconds, but then 2 days later, a modeler comes asking, like, wait, how does this, how does this hatch work? Like, what's the mechanics behind it? Like, why is it this way? You got to do the research anyway. So the time that you spend designing a spacecraft isn't spent necessarily on making it look beautiful. You spend it on research. You spend it on understanding what it is you're building. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's why I feel like it could be a tool, right? Like AI, I'm not against using AI as just something to speed up the process or just to use it as any other tool. But again, like I keep referring to this idea of a DJ, right? A DJ uses samples from other artists all the time. And yet not everyone is a DJ and not everyone is a good DJ. I think what makes a good DJ is that they understand very well what works well together. They know how to curate images into something that feels, or sounds into something that feels coherent and nice to listen to. And that is exactly, I think, what an artist is, or a concept artist, or an art director. They're just people that understand visual language and how to, how to make something that is interesting to people and that communicates a certain idea. Yeah, totally. And building that world, I think, is exactly what makes video games fun to work on. Yeah, it's true. I think what people are worried about is that, I mean, it is worrying, I'm not gonna lie. Like it is just scary to look at what it can do, and I get that people are frustrated and just don't know what to do with it. But I think as with everything, it'll be fine. Like things will work out. Yeah, it's true. I feel like the art industry, because I used to be an art teacher as well. The art industry has gone through, through this sort of genesis, or what do you call it? Like this sort of earth-shattering event a couple times, right? The invention of photography was a good one, right? Where it's like artists really started to reflect on, okay, if a machine can replicate reality with so much more accuracy than we can on a canvas, then what's the point of doing realistic paintings? And then you got all these sorts of, instead of being the end of painting, it became the start of impressionism, expressionism. It became the start of, a whole movement of new art styles. So I feel like we should see it as like, okay, it could change the art, landscape quite a lot. But at the same time, it could be for the better, right? Like we shouldn't panic in the sense that let's just see where it goes. But it'll definitely be a case, I think, at some point of like adapt or, you know, or move out of the way. It's just, it's, I think the box has been opened and it's, we're not going to close it again. So we should learn to kind of live with it. I don't know. I'm rambling now. Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, it's the beginning of a whole new breed of artists, right? I think what's maybe a problem as well is that we're sitting like on the verge of that, right? So we're still from the old times, an old generation. It'll be the next generation that kind of incorporate it for real, because they'll be the ones that grow up with it. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You're getting into this territory where a director can get the art he needs himself without actually involving a concept artist. But again, even there, I'm not too worried, because I feel like in my experience working with directors, and I've worked with a lot of them, they're less, they're less visual thinkers than, people expect, than people think they are. Um, they have really good ideas, I think, about stories and how they want to get those stories on screen, but they're not, the minutiae of visual design is not their ballpark. And nor should it be, right? Like, no one, no one's expected to be an expert in everything. Hey, Rascalito. Yeah, it's totally that. I mean, there's so many artistic professions that you could argue the same thing for, right? Like an interior designer, for instance, or I don't know, like a landscape designer. It's not that they're inventing new stuff, right? They just know exactly what to do. You know, like a not a fashion designer, but I suppose like a costume designer, maybe even on movies, right? They often use existing costumes and model them and tweak them. But there's so much skill that goes into understanding, the history of fashion, and just why certain why a certain wardrobe works better than another. Like it's just like I don't consider myself to be as good of a. I know a little bit about fashion and a little bit about costume design, but not definitely not enough to consider myself a costume designer. You can have the best AI in the world drawing costumes all day, yet a costume designer with the understanding of and the logic behind certain costume designs, you can't replace that. That knowledge is it's important for a costume designer to have. And you could use AI, I think, for sure, to speed up that process, but you still have to have that knowledge. You still have to know what to plug in. But hey, again, hey, Bram. Wow, we're like really multiplying now, right? That's three in there. There's 50 people and three of them are called Bram. That's awesome. What are the odds, though? Like, I feel like even in Belgium, where it's not that uncommon of a name, I still feel like I haven't met that many Brams in my life. How are you doing, man? I mean, let's just admit it. It's a great name. Thank you. Thank you. Isn't there? Oh, it's a pretty Dutch name, I suppose. What about an Abraham? Yeah, apparently, yeah, yeah. It's an old biblical name. At least that's what I was told. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, I would consider my parents to be highly religious. I was baptized though, but then I think I even did my first communion, but that's where it ended. Where in France are you from, Thomas? Oh, Paris. Sounds busy. I don't know, I like Paris. It's a pretty busy city now. Oh, Antwerp's great. It's a really beautiful city too. Oh yeah, I can imagine. Last time I was in Paris, it was pretty busy. Yeah. Have you always lived in Paris? Oh, Singapore, wow. That sounds awesome as well. Sounds even busier though. Oh, Mechelen. Played a show there last week. In I think it was the Kafka. It was a punk rock show. Fats from the chat from the Discord, he was there as well. He plays in another band. They played a show there as well. Really good one. I am, yeah, yeah. Let me link you a video. I'm a singer. Yeah, and this is Fats' band. Let me link that as well. That is a really, really good band. I'm a big fan. You should go watch those guys live. It's a really, it's a party. We played in Paris actually as well, but that was almost 2 years ago already. Yeah, cool. I will. Yeah, they're like, I love that band. They're really great. So you guys don't play in a band? No musical instruments? Oh wow. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up as well. Drop a link, Thomas. I love me some good jazz. What type of jazz do you guys play? Is it like experimental or? Thanks for joining, Thomas. It's been great having you. It's great having you in the chat as well, by the way. Enjoy the jog. 10 more minutes, and I'm gonna call it a day as well. Drop whatever you guys are working on in chat, by the way, as well. For those of you joining late or rewatching, we have a Discord group. I'll drop the link again. No worries, man. Everything is worth showing. But yeah, whatever you feel is worth it. Yeah, go for it. Let me have a look. Oh, that's awesome, man. Those are some really cool poses, especially like the first one. The last one as well, I suppose. The middle one is a little bit. I think it's gonna get confusing at like card size. I mean, if it is even for a card, but I think just that thumbnail size is. I mean, maybe if there's more light behind them, you could pull it off. Yeah, that's probably the smartest you could do. Like, regardless if it's for a card or not, should probably read at thumbnail size. I don't stream every day, no. Every Tuesday and every Thursday at 9 a.m. Central European time. Gonna try and do like a weekend stream or something, or an evening stream at some point, but not sure when. Think I'm gonna try and open up the group a little bit more as well, just to see maybe topics to draw, or like do some collaborative exercises or something. Not sure. There we go. That's 11. Oh, is he? Yeah, I didn't know his work, but yeah, it looked amazing. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. It's been really fun. Hope to see you again sometime. You're welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Cool. I'll see you next time. Bye, man.